All right, there are a couple things when it comes to the assault that you have to be aware of. You really have to switch up your builds when it comes to either Tyranid enemies or Chaos enemies, as well as a lot of his builds do kind of have a skill cap ceiling that, you know, the better you get in the game, the more builds you're going to be able to test out and have more success in when it comes to the assault class. So in his build guide, you're going to see in the top right, there's a skill level. So when it says skill level 1, all these builds are going to get you through lethal. So you don't have to worry about that. But when it says skill level 1, this is more for like if you're just starting out in lethal, you're really going to want to stick to, you know, the fencing weapons at first and then kind of progress. And you'll see how to progress. I'll explain it throughout the guide. So right here, we're starting out with the hammered versus Tyranid enemies. Now, how we're speccing out our class is we are going to go with our ground pound, but we are setting it up to where we're taking a 10% extra damage because we still want the increased AoE damage. And we are going for the Zealous Blow, which is a ground pound kill, restores jump packs charged by 10%. So with this, what you're doing is you're hitting mass big groups of enemies and refilling your jump pack as quickly as you can. And then also after any finisher, you're also going to have 25% added onto your ground pound. So with this build right here, you know, this is like one of his best survivability builds for the class. You're going to have non-finisher gun strikes, restore your armor, and things like that. And then when we get into the Thunder Hammer and how we're speccing this guy out, we're going for the increased 20% base damage onto the weapon. And then also we are looking for the Aftershock gains additional smash, as well as the ground slam area of effect radius increases by 50%. This bottom row right here for this hammer is very, very strong. And this is definitely the way you want to set it up when it comes to Tyranid enemies. And when we're talking about the heavy bolt pistol, I do feel like heavy bolt pistol is the best secondary weapon in the game. So any hate that you hear about it, like, kind of just disregard it, because no matter what you hear about it, it is the best one that you can choose. I will have a Volkite set up at the end of the video if you, you know, because obviously you're going to want to level it up. So I will have how I spec mine out as well. But what you're looking for on this one is a little bit of this recoil at the beginning here, as well as this 10% base damage at the end of the perk tree, as well as I dip up one for increased headshot damage. So, and the main thing I'm looking for, honestly, is this 30% increased magazine, because the thing lacks ammo, and you definitely want to take the ammo version of this gun. Like, no doubt about it, it gives you like 60 more ammo. So it's definitely the best option. You really feel like you have no ammunition if you take a different version of the gun. All right, now when it comes to Chaos enemies with the same build setup here, you're going to see those two highlighted ones right there. That's what you're going to want to switch to, because you're going to want more of a single target type of damage with your ground pound now. And this is going to give you a lot of extra damage with it and just let you tear through the major enemies. And there's just not as many, you know, concentrated enemies when it comes to the Chaos. So, and when they do spawn, you know, they come in that cloud of smoke, you can really time it. And even with the reduced radius, you can still hit that whole group. So it's still very, very powerful. And then also on the hammer, you are switching up, you are taking off the Tyranid 10%, and then you're also dropping the 20% to miners, and you're going up there and you're grabbing that extra 10% against Chaos enemies. So that should help out a lot. So when it comes to Chaos, you are mixing in you're switching up your playstyle. You're still doing a lot of melee, but not as much. You're really mixing in a lot more dodges and putting in your ranged attacks as much as you can too. So, you know, a little bit of a different playstyle, but with the increased damage on your jump pack, they become a lot easier to deal with. For our next one up here, we have the Power Fist. So the red marks you're seeing right now are going to be your Chaos build. So that's what you're going to want to take if you're going against Chaos. But if you're going against Tyranid, you're just following the exact build that's on the screen. So what we're doing here with the Power Fist, now the fencing Power Fist, I like them because of the speed. So I have a video on my channel, you know, you can make this to where it's just basically an unlimited light attack, you know, mode. And that's the way I like to run it when I have them in the fencing version. It has like a 6+ speed. They're very, very fast. And, you know, you can add in charge shots into that as well. It's still strong. But, you know, that's the way I like to run the Power Fist when I run them. And then, like I said before, I'm pairing them with the heavy pistol. And the red, you're just dropping the 10% to the majors on that perk tree. And then you're going over to the Chaos when it comes to the fencing Power Fist. So the ones you're really looking for on the Power Fist that I like to grab are the heavy attack preparation is reduced by 30%. So anytime you do want to go into a combo, you can do it very, very quickly. And just anytime you want to start off with a heavy attack, you can do it extremely fast. So that feels really good. And then you're going to want the 20% to minors. And then on this, instead of the 5% perpetual strength, I usually go for the extra 10% against majors, just to make ripping through them feel a little bit better. So yeah, this is the way I like to set mine up. These get a lot of hate too, but they're not that bad, guys. So I would, you know, if you're already mastered the Thunderhammer, these are a good option to you know, go ahead and give a try. And now we are going to get into like our more skilled, like I said, this is going to take a little more skill to pull off, but it is definitely doable for sure. Just you're going to switch down to your balanced weapons. You're setting them up, and the playstyle is very much similar. You know, the same way with the power hammer, you're working your pummel smash, going into your ground slams and things like that, as well as hitting in your aftershock whenever you can. But you are switching up with your power fist, and you are going to use them in more of a charged version. And, you know, anytime you can get a charged shot off with your power fist, that is the way you're going to want to run them in the balanced version. They're very strong, but the speed went down to 4+, so they're not as fast. So that's how I like to run them when I am running the balanced. So the main thing you're doing when you're running these balanced weapons right now is you are paying attention to the attack animations and really picking up when you're supposed to be parrying, and then you're going to start to make these weapons feel like they are a fencing weapon. So over time, you're going to learn all the attack animations. They're going to start feeling like very fluid. They're going to feel like a fencing weapon, like I said, and you're going to feel right at home with these. And that is when you are going to move on to your skill level 3 builds, which are going to be the block hammer right here, which this is, you know, skill level 3 is basically big time reduced in survivability, but a massive increase in damage. And this thing provides massive, massive damage, guys. It feels really, really nice and satisfying when you have the skills to pull this build off. So very, very fun to play. You're going to be putting in a lot more of your pummel smash for gun strikes, and also using your aftershock very quickly to create gun strikes as well. So this is a very powerful build. One of my favorites in the game right now. So definitely, when you feel like you have the skill level to go up to this build, it is 100% worth trying out and feels really, really good. And then next up, oh, and as I said before, the red dots are for your chaos builds. And then next we're going to get into the blocking Chainsword. Now, another very strong one. I do think the blocking hammer does outperform the block Chainsword, but it's still very strong. And, you know, you have the weapon, so you might as well give it a try. Red dots for the chaos, as I said, and the 2 yellows in the middle. I don't think I said it on the Thunderhammer. I usually, you know, like 90% of the time, I go with the middle one. You know, the 20% increase to Terminus, but you can go with the 10% ability. I really don't recommend the Gunstrike one because you're not really getting as many gun strikes as you previously were. But still, the blocking Chainsword, you know, you're really trying to use the you're working for that full stomp, or the full stomp. You're looking for the increased radius on your stomp, and then the full throttle, because that will get you to your ground stomp 1 combo early. So this is a very strong build too, guys. But like I said, I do prefer the block hammer over this. And then just anybody who did not watch the blocking part of the video for the block weapons, this right here, I wanted to show you, just this is your mass single target damage. So if you're looking to like delete something extremely quickly, no matter what weapons that you have on, this is going to give you the most single target damage that you can possibly do on the class. And depending on the weapon you have, it just ramps up, you know, more and more. So very, very strong. The class in general, after this after this patch, just became a lot more fun to play, guys. And for lastly, we're going to talk about the Volkite here. How I set mine up is I go top row, looking for the increased damage of my my charge shot explosion. And then we also are going with the ammunition version when we run this gun. For me, I'm like 85% of the time running anytime I'm like serious, I'm running the heavy bolt pistol. But, you know, if I want to switch things up and have a little bit of fun, I will switch over to this Volkite, and this is usually how I set mine up.